Hey, what's up, you guys? Wow, that was probably really noisy. I'm sorry about that. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tara, and I make a fool of myself on a regular basis trying to figure out technology. So, there's that. Here we are. I just had the best time of my life trying to get this live stream to start. And I've had to delete a bunch of mistakes in the last 15 minutes. It's been a real fun time, so yeah. All right, enough of me laughing at myself and pitying myself. My name's Tara. I make videos about digital planning and different ways that you can get creative with your iPad. And honestly, that last bit's a bit of a lie because I haven't done that. I have been saying this for 2 years and I haven't done that. I have only really made videos about digital planning and getting creative in your digital planning, but not really different ways to get creative with your iPad, which has been a huge goal of mine for a really long time. I want to empower people to get creative, to have some fun, to realize how simple creating beautiful things on your iPad can be. Now, of course, it can be complex. You can make anything, any art as complex as you want to, but also there is beauty in making simple art if that's your style, if that's your entry point, if that's just what you want to do. Honestly, I'm a huge proponent of the idea that we are all artists. I think it's one of the things that makes us human, you know? I think it's one of the most beautiful things about being human. And that's really what I've always wanted to do with this channel, is I want to empower you to get creative, to feel like you can make things. So a lot of you guys who watch my channel are people who watch it specifically for digital planning purposes because that's what I've been doing for such a long time. So if you're new here and you came to this because you're really excited about this Procreate tutorial, that's fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here. If you are somebody who has been around on my channel for digital planning, and if you don't see yourself as enough of a creative, I'm here to fix that. I want you to feel empowered to create, okay? That's like the main goal I've always had on this channel, and it's hard to get out so many videos, and by doing lives, that's how I'm going to fix that. There's no more scarcity mindset in 2025. At least that's what I'm telling myself in January. We are going for it. So in order for me to get the information out that I want to, we're doing lives. So they're going to be more frequent. It's going to be a lot of like fun, draw with me kind of things. They're going to be plan with me kind of things, create fonts with me, planners, all kinds of fun stuff that I like to use my iPad for in order to indulge in creative fun. So that's what I'm here for. That's what we're going to be doing. Today's big thing is we're going to be doing notebook covers. So as you can see here in this folder, I have quite a lot that I've done. I played around with these. I think they're super fun. These obviously look the same. There are a lot of polka dots, but if I go into each of these files, there are actually a lot of different designs within the layers. So let's see, that's the top one. So if I remove the polka dot ones, we've got like a plain design. We've got flowers, and they come in all different colors. I worked with like a whole color palette here. This one obviously is a bit more like 4th of July like. We've got some animal print, just some fun spots, some smiley faces. I don't know how well you can see these on the camera because they're kind of faint. But once I show you guys how I make this stuff, you're going to realize how simple it is to make as many different designs as you want. I do want to do this also in Affinity Designer because that's my main design program. But today we, we are sticking with Procreate. It's really great entry level, and for like designing on your iPad. It also can obviously produce really cool, very professional designs as well. So it's not just entry level, but I do think this is one of the greatest apps that sort of simulates a lot of different mediums in order to get you comfortable drawing on the iPad. So, that all being said, a lot of you guys are probably here because you saw this video and you wanted to see a full-length tutorial of how did I make this and just break it down. So that's what we're going to do today. So I am going to open up a new canvas and I am going to choose something that's kind of like your standard print size. You could go with, it's really up to you. You could go with the size of the document that you're making it for if you want to. So if you've got something that's horizontal, you can make it horizontal. If you don't like the look of horizontal, you can go, vertical, do a portrait mode design. It really is up to you and whatever your preference is. This one here is, oops, sorry, not this one. The one here from the short, this one is an A4 size, which is like standard print paper around a lot of the world, but in America we typically use US letter size, so this is 8.5 by 11 inches, and that's what we're going to go with today because that is the size of my planner. So you can look in here and see if there is one. I have way too many of these saved, so I apologize, but yeah, there should be excuse me, there should be one that is US letter sized. So if you are drawing on the iPad, you can use like sRGB, that's fine. CMYK would be for print. You can see these in these little boxes. This is like the color profile that you'd be using. Another option though, if what you're doing is staying specifically on the iPad, is there's a P3 color palette. So what we can do is we can tap on US letter here and open this one, and we can come to our color palette. So we're going to go to Canvas, Canvas information, come down to color profile, and then you can see, oh, I thought I could change it. Oh yeah, I can, sorry. You're gonna tap on the display P3. You don't have to do this, it's completely up to you. If you ever do want to print it though, CMYK is the profile you would want to be in. But sRGB is pretty standard, and then display P3 works really well for designing things for an iPad screen specifically, but anywhere other than an Apple product, the color looks a little funky. So I'm going to use display P3. That's completely up to you, but it's going to ask if you actually want to change the color profile, so I'm going to tap change. Okay. So what we're going to do, the simplest thing, is we're just going to start up here in our color studio, and we're going to pick a color. So in my tutorial, I picked this pink color. If you really like that and you want to see, what that was, that is hex code F4BAB4. So I can write that down if you guys want to see it. Let me just double check again before I forget. F4BAB4. F4BAB4. If that's the color that you want. But you can, of course, pick any color that works for you. Okay, so now that that's been up long enough, I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, and we are just going to drag that color and fill it in here. I actually think I might explore some different colorways, or just like color combinations. So I'm going to scroll through. I've got an obscene amount of color color palettes here. La 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 la. I spend way too much time doing way too many art things. Okay, I know it's not fall anymore, but I love fall. I liked this color palette. I did some art with this like a really long time ago. Ooh, and this one. Okay. Colors, colors, colors. Let's just go with something bright and excuse me. Sorry, I feel like I really need to cough. Let's do something bright and fun. So I'm going to go with, I've got this really bright color. Ooh, okay. and we're just going to drag this one here. This is super bright. And then I'm just going to label this. I'm honestly one of the worst people at organizing my layers. I never do it. I'm going to call this one background. I never name them. I'm like, oh, I'll just click through all of them. But it does pay off to be organized and name your files, you know? It saves you a little bit of time here and there. But that's up to you. You don't have to name it if you don't want to, but you totally can. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to grab this orange, and let's see, I want to find a fun brush to use. I'm going to try to use ones that are like built in to Procreate. Ooh, this is fun. I don't know if you guys can see this one. Look at that. You could do something with like a fun texture. There's so many things you can do. This one has a bunch of flowers. This one gives kind of like a fun, I don't know, sort of like confetti or pebbly look. These ones, just so you know, are in the vintage folder if you find any of those interesting. But I like things that are pretty textured. I think that's a lot of fun. I might try the grid and see if this does something fun for us. So I'm going to make it super large, and I actually am going to come back to that green color, and I am just going to fill this whole entire layer. Sorry, I forgot if I had already made a new layer or not, but we're going to turn this layer into multiply. That's just going to make it so that this color that we're placing on top here, even though it's the same, we're actually going to be able to see it. It's going to be like a darker version of this color, to put it simply. It's not really darker, it's kind of a different shade, but definitely shows up darker. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure I cover this really well. If you want to know the name of that brush, it's just called Grid, and it's in the textures folder. So now I've just got this nice grid. I personally think I want it to be like a bigger grid, so I am going to just kind of stretch it out a little bit. I could have adjusted some of the brush settings, but it's okay. This was simpler, and it's like faint enough in the background that I'm not super worried about it. So I'm going to tap on this and rename this layer. Just keep in mind, I'm renaming this for your guys' sake because I am a mess and I don't do this. Okay, we're going to add a new layer in here. And what we're going to do next is try to come up with something fun. So let's take a look at the charcoals. I think the charcoals are fun to use. So I usually use the burnt tree one. That is fun. Oh, I need a new color. Let's do one that we're going to be able to see well. So I've got this orange. Let's try it out at a smaller size. Okay, I'm thinking this brush is not for me today. Let's try the charcoal block. And you can just play around. I didn't really come here with a plan. Okay, yeah, I think that'll be cute. So we're just going to make it a little bit smaller though. And one thing I do want to show you guys before I jump into doing a whole flower thing is I want to show you guys what I did in my short, which is I turned on my drawing guide, so you can come to this little wrench icon here. This is your action menu. Make sure you're on canvas and tap on drawing guide, and then edit drawing guide. Right now it's added a grid, but we want to change it to the symmetry one. And if you tap on options, we can tap on radial. So you have the option once you've done this is you can actually take the blue little node here and you can arrange this anywhere you want to. You can move it and edit it anytime. And you can also take the green part here and you can rotate it. So that's completely up to you. But what I had done was I took this and I just started drawing kind of like little sort of like flower shapes. And I just kind of worked my way around, and I just think they're so adorable. And I just colored them in. And let's see, I think this one definitely needs another one here. Okay. And then I just went back to my drawing guide, and then I moved it to another spot, maybe rotated it a little bit, and then started drawing again. So you just hit done and you keep going. So in case you wanted to know exactly how I did the one in the short, that would be the way. But I am going to clear this layer and I'm going to turn off the drawing assist because I am just going to draw out some cute little flowers. So we're going to come to our drawing guide here and just turn that off because we don't want to see that anymore. And we're just going to draw some flowers. I might make the size a little bit bigger. Let's try 5%. Okay, I think I like that. And we're just going to enjoy ourselves. So I am currently drinking some tea, some yogi tea. If you're watching this, are you a tea drinker or a coffee drinker? Is this blasphemy? It's also nighttime, so I'm not trying to get all hyped up on caffeine. Actually, really don't like the look of this flower. We'll see, might come together. Flowers have a way of doing that. They're very forgiving. You can do 5 petals, 6 petals. You can make them perfect. You can make them very imperfect. Oh no, I lost this one. Sometimes my iPad also gets like super glitchy, which will be the funnest thing about doing these lives, because at some point you guys are gonna see it, maybe even a lot, and it basically goes crazy and it starts drawing lines all over my screen, and then it takes me forever to undo the mess that it made. So I'm really looking forward to experiencing that on lives in front of everyone. It's gonna be so much fun. But yeah, so I'm just going to keep drawing some of these. You can also duplicate some if you want to. You can choose to fill some in or not fill some in. It's really up to you. I think what I might do is, I don't know, just because I want to draw, because drawing is fun and it's relaxing. I don't know, I might just add a few more elements that I wasn't necessarily planning on adding. I hope that you guys are just, I don't know, following along, maybe drawing a little bit yourself. Doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, one of the things that I think is super nice about creating digital art is that I think there's like almost like more of a push to embrace the imperfection, right? Like it's really nice because if you make everything super perfect digitally, then it kind of loses some of that, I don't know, like hand-drawn feel, which is one of the things I love about working in programs like Procreate, for example, is you can get like a lot of texture and you're just like drawing on the screen as if you're drawing on paper. It's, I don't know, just such a nice experience. You don't feel quite as detached as like when I'm working in Adobe Illustrator or something, for example. But there are definitely ways with Adobe Illustrator to bring in the physical world and your other art. Okay, so I'm just kind of finishing this up. In case you didn't notice, I was just putting some like little parts of the flowers around these edges to just kind of fill this space in a little bit more. I like that. And I think what I am going to do is come here between the grid and this top layer, and I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to find, maybe I've got this sort of like darker green shade here. If you guys want the hex codes, I can drop them somewhere, or I can make sure I'm announcing them. But if you want to kind of work with your own color palette, you can do that too. I think I'm going to take this darker green though, and on this layer behind, I'm just going to draw in some like bigger kind of like leafy elements, and I think I want to fill them in. I didn't originally, but I think I do. So we're just going to fill these in and just going to kind of add some fun, I don't know, visual interest to the overall thing. Maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I am overcomplicating this. But I like to doodle. Just have some fun. And I encourage you to do the same. Just kind of play around and see what you come up with. And the nice thing about digital art is if you don't like it, I can just delete the layer. I can turn it off. I can compare really easily. But I'm kind of just doing like groups of 2, sort of like bigger leafy elements. And I'll probably end up lowering the opacity on this a little bit because it's a little too strong for my liking. But yeah, I don't know. I hope you grab yourself like a cup of something and just hang out. Come draw with me. I want to do more kind of things like this where we just kind of hang out and draw together. And at the end, you have something to walk away with. You know, you're not just sitting here watching mindlessly. That you're engaging, you're drawing, and you have something pretty to show for it in the end. All right, so I think we're just going to add like a little tip over here. And maybe a tiny bit here, and maybe something here. Nothing major. Just a little pop of that color. And I'm going to play around with reducing the opacity. So if you don't know how to do that, come up to your layers menu and tap this N, and where it says opacity, you can just, I'm telling you, my iPad is so glitchy. You can just play around and see what you like. So I'm going with around 70%. I think I like that. And then I think we're just going to do one more layer with some flowers. And then we'll use white for the centers. And then we're going to go ahead and complete this as a notebook. So I'm going to try, I think, maybe this brighter yellow that I have. We'll see if I regret this, but I think I'm going to make these ones smaller. So I might even drop my brush size down to about 3%. Let's see how that goes. Okay, yeah, that's cute. And we're just doing really simple shapes here. I was not expecting my iPad to be this obnoxious. I actually really love to create stamps that I can use to just kind of like pop these shapes in as many times as I want to, and it's a major time saver. However, sometimes I also feel like that kind of ruins it, like it defeats the purpose of sitting here and just calmly doodling. So, mixed feelings. Sometimes I'm just really lazy and I very much enjoy those time savers. But I definitely recommend doing things on different layers because let's say it turns out that I don't like this yellow. It's like I didn't plan this out, we're just kind of winging it. And let's just say that it's not fun for me, I decide I don't like it, then I can just turn that layer off. And that's really it. I think one of the beautiful things about doing physical art is that you are sort of forced to get creative and work with your mistakes, which is a very beautiful thing. But I also think that one of the beautiful things about doing digital art is that it relieves that pressure, and so you have more freedom to explore, because if you mess something up, it's okay. So you might be more willing to try something that you've never done before, or that you wouldn't have done if you were working in a physical medium, because you didn't want to risk messing up that art piece. And so, you know, in some ways, it encourages a little more creativity, but in other ways it doesn't. I think there is beauty to both sides. Okay. So you can name these layers if you want to. I'm not feeling like it's necessary because I can really very easily see what all of them are. The drawings on them are big enough and clear enough. But if you're ever not sure, like this grid is kind of faint, if you're not going to know, absolutely label it. Okay, we're going to use like a white color. This is just kind of an off-white, but it'll do. And we're just going to come in here, and we're on a new layer. And we're just going to draw in the centers of our flower. And I'll probably have to move this layer and drag it underneath the yellow, because if you look at this, for example, this one here, doesn't really make sense that the orange flower is underneath, but the white center is on top. So I'm just going to drag this and pull it down underneath the yellow, and that makes a little bit more sense. And now I'm feeling like I need a little bit more white. So I'm going to come above the grid layer, and I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to play around with some ideas. So you could maybe come around and just kind of draw in some shapes. I think I want it above the green layer. So let's just drag it up above the green leafy layer. So we could just do something that's kind of like that, where I go around some of the shapes. Like that could be kind of cute. Doesn't really have like an artistic purpose. It's just kind of fun. I keep somehow getting switched to my eraser, which is like not what I want to do. Like that's one idea. You could also come in and just draw in some lines. You could be really fun and just kind of like give random texture places. I mean, you could just do whatever you wanted to. As weird as it is, I kind of like the whole nonsensical like lines that are just being drawn. So I think we're just going to come back to doing that. And just try to kind of balance it a little bit where we can around the art. Again, makes zero sense. There's no real purpose to it, except for to just bring a little highlight to the art here. Just needed a little more white, I thought. But again, personal choice. Do whatever feels right to you. Let's see. And this one I might do something kind of weird. Nope, don't like that. I actually kind of like that. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but I think that the white kind of works. I wish I could figure out how to make the color on the screen actually resemble, even remotely, what it looks like on the camera, at least from what I can tell. But I don't know. I've tried to lower my brightness. I've tried to increase the brightness. I'm not a camera person. Is that a little better? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm starting to get somewhere. I'm thinking this is very nice. It's cute, it's fun, it's a little silly. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to take all of this and I'm going to group it together. And I'm going to label this as notebook design. And then we're going to add a new layer on top. And this is where we're going to have some fun with it. So I'm going to come up here to my brush pen. And let me just check really quickly. Oberon is the pen that I really love to use. And I forgot that. But I think I've edited that one. So I actually told someone that I would let them know what brushes I used in the previous video, so I just did a quick screenshot there. But I'm going to use this script one. So the script one comes from, where's the calligraphy folder? If you don't have as many folders as me, it's probably easier for you to find them. But I make a lot of my own brushes and I've purchased some, so my library is super full. But you can come to calligraphy and come to script. You can use really any brush here. A monoline brush works great too. But we are just going to come to our color studio here and come to disc and just like tap somewhere in this sort of gray area. LOL. And on this new layer, we're just going to draw a line and we're going to hold and then put one finger down and it's going to make it perfectly straight. And what we're going to do is tap on this adjustments menu here. It's the thing that looks like a little wand. And you're going to tap Gaussian blur. And we're just going to push to the right. And this is going to blur that line. So I think somewhere between, I don't want it to be too strong, but I think somewhere between like 11 and 14% is pretty good. So let's go with 12. I think I like 12. And then if you want to, you can lower that opacity a bit. You can also turn this mode to multiply, and then it's gonna blend in a bit more with the actual layers that are underneath, like all the different colors, as opposed to just being like a gray. Yeah, I think I like that. So if you can tell what I'm going for here is I want it to look like a book that's actually bound, and so that it's kind of got that little crease where you open it. I think it might need to go over a little bit to the left, so I might turn my snapping off. So if you tap this little cursor, right, and then tap on snapping, and you can make sure that snapping is off. If you want to turn magnetics on, this is going to keep it in like a straight line, which is nice, or make it easier for you to like bring it back to that. But I am going to, I don't know, nudge it over a little bit. So I think that looks a little bit more realistic. It's not as far out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to choose a color, and I have no idea what color I want to do. This will be interesting. We're going to add on a new layer, and let's make sure that we rename this bottom one as like binding shadow, or you could just call it a shadow. Totally up to you. But we're going to come back to that layer 10. We're going to come back to our brushes. And I want to use the Buzz brush. So let me see if I can figure out where I found that one. Truly any brush will work for you. I mean, you could, as long as you can make like a thick line with it, you're going to be good. But give me a moment and I'll see if I can find that one. Oh yes, okay, so it's in Vintage. It's called Buzz. And just be mindful here that there is some, there's a pressure difference here with how opaque it is. So what you're going to want to do, let's turn this up and make sure we get a size that seems good for like a band that would go. I think that looks pretty good. I'm only choosing this one because I like the sort of like blocky feel to it, but realistically you could kind of use anything. You could even tap here on the selection tool, this little S ribbon, and tap rectangle. Honestly, this might be the easiest thing to do, but tap rectangle and tap color fill, and then you can just drag. And if you drag this whole rectangle to cover this whole space, and then you let go, it's going to automatically fill it with that color. So you can do that. You can do it that way. You can also just draw a thick band and then tap and hold and push down. And the nice thing about that is it does have like a little bit of texture, so that's kind of fun because you would think that a band would have a little bit of texture, but I think this also does pretty well. So what I am going to do is grabbing this little cursor, we're going to tap freeform, and this is going to allow us to adjust. So I want to make it here about maybe like this wide. I think that's pretty good. And we're just going to kind of drag this to wherever I feel is an appropriate spacing. You can also nudge things just like pixel by pixel by tapping. But I think, let's see. I nudged it up, so we're gonna nudge it down. And I think that is a good placement. But obviously, I don't want it to be this color. So let's choose one of the colors that is in the artwork. So we could make this green if we wanted to. So first, let's come to this layer and tap on it, and you can tap Alpha Lock. And this is going to make it so that when you fill in the color, that it only stays within like this drawing area or like the place where you color drop, as opposed to going in any of the space outside. Like it locks everything outside of the space that you drew in, so that you can't draw in the outside space and you can only draw in here. So this is really fun. Let's say if you just wanted to draw in that space and just keep it confined to that, you could do that. You can also just drag and drop and fill, and alternatively, you can tap in this layer and tap fill layer, and it will fill everything in that layer. So I said, let's try this green. Oops, come to this layer and fill layer. And I think I want to try out a few options. So let's next take the orange. So I'm just holding my finger in order to pick up those colors. It works like an eyedropper tool. But alternatively, you can also just grab them from the color palette or from your history and fill. I don't know if I like the orange. What I'm thinking I might end up doing is probably the yellow or the white. But let's see. I think the yellow could be fun. And also, let's try the white just to see what it looks like. I'm a little bit partial to the white. Oh my gosh, I really wish that the color didn't look so bad on this camera. Oh, no. I gotta figure out how to improve the coloring situation. At least with this whole live streaming thing. Okay, so let's just kind of alternate back and forth. Do we want the yellow? Do we want the white? Yellow, white. Normally I think I would go with the white, but you know what, why not? Let's do the yellow. And then what I'm going to do is just duplicate this. We're going to come back to the layer underneath, and we are going to grab that gray color we used before, and we're just going to fill this layer. And then you want to tap on this and turn alpha lock off. And coming up here, this is like our transform, this cursor here, you basically use this to transform shapes. We're just going to nudge this over to the right. So we're just going to tap a little bit and make a little bit of a shadow. But as you can tell, it's pretty like a very stark contrast. It doesn't really look like a shadow, right? Most shadows don't look that crisp. So we need to blur it a little bit. So we're going to come to our wrench icon here, these actions. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, the adjustments menu with the little magic wand, and tap Gaussian blur. And then we're just going to kind of play with that blur until it looks good to us. And I usually like to go somewhere around 7 or 8%. And I think that works. We can come to our layers menu too, and again tap on that N. And if we want to, let me move this over just so I can see it better. If you want to, you can adjust the opacity so it's not so dark. So I've got it at about 70%. And I think that that looks pretty good. So then the last thing that we're going to want to do, oh, I'm disgusted by the colors. They look better in person, you guys, I promise. They look really bad on camera. Okay, what we're going to do is add on this new layer. And if you want, you can group these together and rename this like band. Band, B-A-N-D. It came up as name for some reason. And then this we're going to rename. This is going to be our heading. Okay, so in here we're going to grab white and let's come to our inking and let's use the studio pen. I love the studio pen. And we're just going to draw kind of like a wonky sort of shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think I need to increase the size though. Mine was quite small, so let's do, I don't know, about 28%. That should be good. And I'm just drawing it until it fills that whole shape. And if you don't like the shape, if there's something that's just a little off, but you don't want to redraw the whole thing, you can come up here to the adjustments menu and we can tap on liquefy. And this is really fun. If we use push down here, you can actually pull the shape out a little bit and you can push and kind of nudge it. And this is just a nice little way that without redrawing the whole thing, you can just make just a few minor adjustments to it and find something that looks good. And I'm pretty happy with that. Right now my size is a little bit too large. It's a little out of control. And I've got pressure on max, which is doing a lot. But yeah, you can, you know, this is kind of, it's a fun tool to play with. There you go. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm just going to come in here with my pen and I'm going to smooth this out a little bit because that got a little bit wild. And I'm just going to come in here and zoom here as well. Okay. Actually, I might do that around all the corners because they seem to look a little bit crazy. And we just want this to all blend together nicely. Not look so crazy. But that was good to give us a shape that we were happy with, and then you can just kind of go in and fine tune it. Again, if you're not confident with your drawing skills, this is a great way to kind of hack it. All right, so I just need to come around and do this side. And just even that out a little bit. I think that looks much, much, much better. Okay, and so you can leave it like this. I also really like to do like a little bit of a squiggly outside, but I think with how busy this pattern currently is, that it's probably not necessary for me to add that, but that is what I did in my other video. I think this one looks great as is. Okay, and that is it for the actual design. I want to show you guys next how you can add this into your Goodnotes so that you can make it the cover. But before I do that, I will say one other thing you can do is you can add a new layer, and you can come in here and add. So come to your actions menu, this wrench icon, tap add, and then you can insert text. Sorry, not insert a photo. Add text, and then you can write. So if this is for your 2025 planner, then you can write 2025. And then we just need to change the color here because this is in white, so that's never going to show up. So you could, of course, choose one of the colors that we were just writing with. You can also make the font something fun. So with my planner, I use my Cheeky Collegian font in it, so I might as well keep everything consistent. And then you can, drag it and resize it, and that looks great. But if you would like the opportunity to just use this or any of your designs that you make in any planner, or any notebook on Goodnotes instead of just your planner, then you can save just like this, and you can add the text within Goodnotes. So then you could use this for literally anything. So that's what I'm going to do instead of limiting this just to 2023. But let's go ahead and hit share. So in your actions menu, tap share and save this as a PNG. And then we're just going to save image. And now we can come to Goodnotes. And let's hope I get this right on the first time because I feel like I always mess this up. But let's go ahead and come to home. And we're going to come to this settings icon here, the gear icon. And we want to tap on manage notebook templates. So from here, you can tap on cover over here, because right now we were on paper templates and now it says cover templates. And you can scroll and we can import if we want to. So you can always scroll to the end of any of these categories and tap import. So find a category that makes sense to you. So I've got my whole terrible art folder here, so we're just going to add from photos, and then you just choose the photo. We're going to import it, and then we're going to tap close. So I actually already have a cover here for my 2025 digital planner, but let's go ahead and do this for my dark mode one. Why not? So we're going to open this up and make sure you are on the very first page of your planner. So there's nothing else over here. And what we're going to do is hit the add page button at the top. And then right now it defaults to after, but we don't want to add this page after. We want to make sure we're adding it before. So we're going to tap before, and then we need to choose what kind of page we're adding before. So we're going to tap on more from templates. You technically could do image, but we just saved this as a cover template. So let's go ahead and tap more from templates. And then up here at the top, you can tap cover and scroll down to that folder where you saved yours. So mine was terrible art. I've got a lot saved in here, but let's pick this one. And then I think I should have mentioned you could have renamed it. All of these have names. I did not name this one. But we're going to tap apply. And now we've got this notebook cover for our planner. Now there's nothing here, so easily you can just tap the text icon and you can just write in here 2025. I'm going to select this Actually, I don't think my text boxes is on. I'm going to select this and I'm just going to resize this. I find it easier to do this than to mess with figuring out the right number for the font size. And then if you want to change the color, go ahead and select this again and hit the color wheel. Hit custom and you can use the eyedropper tool and you can just choose a color. So this is a very easy way to do that. And then if you go to your home screen, then you've got this beautiful planner already set here for you. So very cute, very fun, a really nice way to customize your home screen. So one last thing that or not your home screen, but your library. One last thing that I do want to show you guys is if you want to make this a shortcut for your home screen, then we can take that same image and let's come back to Procreate here. And we're just going to make some minor adjustments. So we do want to make sure we have our font on now. And we're going to, what is this layer? Is that the layer that I was drawing on? We can delete that layer. That was a bonus layer. Oh, I added that layer for the text. You don't need to add a layer for the text. We're going to group this together. And again, rename this. Well, I'm going to rename this 2025 because that's what the heading says. And we're going to turn off the band and we're going to turn off the binding shadow and we're just going to select this layer. So use the transform button here and we're going to tap snapping and we want to turn snapping on. So I have my distance and velocity all the way up and that's just going to help this to snap really easily into the center. So you should get some like golden crosshairs that'll let you know if it's center. And then what you can do is, again, we're just going to come to this wrench icon here, our actions menu, and we are going to share this as a PNG. And again, you're just going to save this image. We're going to open up our shortcuts app. So I hate like actually searching for apps. I am like the worst. I refuse to do it. So I just tell everyone to just spotlight search. So if you don't know how to do that, just pull down on your iPad screen and just type in shortcuts. I don't know why everyone doesn't do this. This is the only way that I use my iPad and my iPhone. I always spotlight search literally every single app, even if it's on the screen in front of me. It's bad. Okay, so what we're going to do is when you're here, you want to tap on the plus sign. And on the right here, what we're going to do is we are going to scroll until we find Goodnotes. And there's a lot of things that already come sort of like pre-done for you. So what we want it to do is we want it to open a document. And there are shortcuts that come down here, but for me personally, I think because I do a lot of trial and error when it comes to testing out my planners and stuff, that I have a lot here. Maybe yours doesn't look like this and yours is very clear and you could just tap on one of these. But this is not helpful for me because as you can see, there's 2025 digital planner, 2025 digital planner, 2025 digital planner dark mode, sticker pack. I don't know what's what. So I ignore this. If yours doesn't look like that and it's very clear what yours is, feel free, just click on one of those. Otherwise, tap open document and then we're going to tap on the word document. And I'm going to assign this to my 2025 digital planner dark mode. So we're going to click on that one. And then up here where it says open document, you can actually tap on the arrow and you can rename this. So I'm going to name this, I'm just going to name it 2025. And then what you can do from here is tap on the eye, which is like a little info icon here in the upper right. And we're going to add this to home screen. And then it's going to give us this little pop-up. So you can just choose the icon and you can change like symbols and colors. So if you want to do this for other shortcuts, go for it, but we designed this image. So we're going to tap on the photo icon here, tap choose photo, and then grab the photo. And then if you want, you can like pinch and zoom, and you can scale this if you want to, but just try to keep it center. And then we're going to tap use. And then you can see here if it looks pretty center or not. I think it does. And once you're happy, just tap add. If you're not happy, you can choose that file again. And now it's populated here. So as you can see, the text that we changed that name to, 2025, is what the icon is actually labeled as. So that's great. If you don't change it, it's going to say like open document 1 or open document 2. And that's not pretty to see. So I would definitely recommend changing that, especially if you want to keep it up here. So I'll show you. I did not do that with this one. So this one says open document 1. That is not pretty. Not at all. I don't know if you guys can actually see that, but it's not pretty. So if you do leave something ugly like that, and you can always go back into your shortcuts and you can edit it, but if you drag it down into your doc, none of these have names anyway. So now it's in your doc, it's easy for you to access, and you can just tap on it, and it's going to open up your planner. And we're in our dark mode planner. And I have one for my stickers, so I open this one, and it takes me to it's supposed to take me to my sticker pack. It seems to be malfunctioning. I may have deleted this shortcut or messed with it. I think I edited it the other day when I was having issues. I recorded a short explaining this the other day. I'm going to have to go in and redo this, but it works. I promise you it works. This is how it works. One thing, though, is that it only works if you have Goodnotes 6. So I'm sorry if you're a Goodnotes 5 user and I just wasted your time. Oh, hi! Yay! I like when people wave. Hello! Very fun. We are finishing up here, though. This is basically the end of it, but you can customize any icon you want technically on your home screen, so this is super fun. I'm going to move this back because this is the planner that I'm actually using, and I need to fix this shortcut. So I'm going to do that after this live is finished, and I'm glad that you guys brought my attention to that during this, or that I was able to learn that through this live. So that is everything. We're done here, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more lives, walking you guys through things like, I think we're going to do one about how I drew this, but this is going to be an Affinity Designer for the iPad. So if you are interested in learning this, Affinity Designer has a free trial. It's also a one-time fee if you do want to purchase it. I personally highly recommend it if you do want to get into any kind of like graphic design work, because it's way easier for getting into digital design than learning Adobe Illustrator, and it also is significantly cheaper. Adobe Illustrator costs me hundreds of dollars a year to maintain my Adobe plan, and this was, I don't remember what it cost, but it was something like a one-off fee of maybe like $20 or something like that. So if you want Affinity Designer, it's great for learning like vector, and you can use your Apple Pencil with it, where unfortunately Adobe Illustrator for the iPad is still lacking quite a lot. So if you are interested in learning that program, I'm going to be doing lives, both where I teach things in Procreate, but also ones where I teach things in Affinity Designer. I also offer a course where I teach sticker design and how I do all of my stickers, like everything. I walk you through all of it. I tell you all of my secrets, and I do that using Affinity Designer, which is the program I use to make this cute little penguin. So just throwing that out there. If you want to get that program, I will be doing lives learning that over the next couple of months. So I think that's everything. Thank you guys. I have enjoyed doing this. I'm hoping to do so many more, and I will chat with you very soon. Bye.